Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I hope we are in good health today. The Honorable Professor Dr. Shafrizal MPD as a lecturer of Seminar English Language Teaching course and all the presenters. Thank you for joining this meeting today for present the exam of Seminar on English Language Teaching as our middle test assignments by theme Pedagogical Strategies for Effective Teaching of English Language Skills. I am Dinara Safina as the moderator for this presentation. I would like to remind all of the presenters to be all ready and prepared. Before we start the presentation, I would like to give you all the lowdown for today's activity. So all presenters will present their seminar first. If you have any questions regarding the paper or presentations, please hold it until the end of this seminar. All right. Let's welcome our first presenter for this seminar. Please welcome Restu.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Dear seminar participant, I'm here to happy to be one of you today. Discussion very relevant topic about the problem of interest in learning English in Indonesia in children. Okay, so in this era, there are still many children who are still lazy about learn English. Next slide. Introduction. English language provides is becoming interesting, important in the today global world, and Indonesia, like many other non-English speaking countries, like English, the importance of mastering English from early age. However, despite various effort to promote English language education, a significant challenge remains the lack of interest of Indonesian children in English. And so many psychological factors influence children motivation to learn, such as self-efficiency, belief, personal relevance of English skills, and relate to language learning, the role of parents, teacher, and educational institute fostering interest and motivation in English language learning, and also examining along with potential strategy to insist their involvement and support. Next slide. This supporting theories. The first is communicative language teaching, CLT, emphasizing real life communication and interaction in the language learning process. For young learners, this means creating importance for them of English in meaningful contexts such as through games, role plays, and group activities. And next is total physical response, TPR, is based on the idea that a language learning is financial through physical movement and action. In CPR, teacher give comments in target, learn, respond, and providing action. The next is text-based language teaching. The focus on completing a meaning text as a way to learn language for young learners. Text can be exploited activities that recommend them to as English to active a goal such as following instruction and complete. And next is the natural approach development by Stephen Harris and Turns point a language acquisition factors to explore to comparable input the low anxiety and for young learners. This means providing with rich language and input the unstoppable and engines such to storytelling, song, and interactive active. Next is social culture theory. The originating from the work left of social theory, emphasizing a role of social interaction and cultural context in learning for young learners. This means creating language rich environment where they can interact with parents and those who model support their language development. Next is intelligence, yeah, theory. Purpose, purpose and again, Howard Gardner multi intelligence theory suggests and that individual have a different strategy and preference in how they learn. Okay, next slide. Met, okay, next slide is a method to comprehensively to comprehensively address the problem of interest in learning English among children in Indonesia. A multi-faceted research approach will be carried out. This methodology will be with extensive literature review conferring limits learning motivation and landscape of English education in Indonesia culture influence of on in language question and theories relate to children's language development. Uh, Next slide. The next slide, please. Okay. Findings educational factor imagine as another important aspect the influence children's interest in learning English that that teaching methods and lack of research in school were indicative as the main obstacles during the expectation of a language teaching. In addition, the abstract of interactive and immersive learning experiences in the curriculum contributes to the excitement among students, surely reducing their motivation and actively participant in English learning active. Okay, next slide. Discussion. The finding lie on the complex of addressing entrance in learning English among Indonesia children. One significant aspect to consider is the culture and societal context that shape attitudes towards language learning. Indonesia rich linguistic diversity which Indonesia as the national language often lends to a cultural preference for native language preference for English. This culture trend many important of English language learning among children there be in impacting their motivation and to with the language educational practice also play an important role in shaping children interest learning English influence of a parents cannot of the officer in children. Next slide. Okay, last is conclusion. Conclusion, the issue of entrance is in learning English among Indonesian children is a multifaceted challenge influenced by culture, educational, parental, and physiological factor. The finding highlight the pervasive influence of cultural attitudes and social norms which often provision native language profess over language learning. Okay, that's all for me. I give it back Bob.
All right, thank you, Restu Dermawan, for the great presentation. And the next presenter is Siti Sopiah. Please welcome Sophie.
PPT-nya udah kelihatan belum?
Yeah, ELSA speak.
Okay. Okay, first of all, thank you for the moderator for giving me a chance for explain about this. So in this occasion, I would like to explain about and enhancing the pronunciation in the English language teaching ELT through ELSA Speak application. And wait, okay. And currently, the world has entered an era of increasingly globalized technology, so that there are many advanced technology created by humans. And one of it is ELSA Speak application. This application supports English learning process to be more easy and engaging for the students. We all know that English is one of important language need to be mastered by people all over the world, right? And this is also become one of problem faced by the Indonesian students because Indonesians, perhaps Indonesian can speak English fluently without a good pronunciation. It is happen because so many factors. It's like English is not our mother tongue, and then there are some the differences between Indonesian and English sound, and also there are some inconsistencies in the English and also and Indonesian's letter. And there are still many factor of error pronunciation of Indonesian. And then the next is supporting theories. Here there are several supporting theories. First is behaviorism theories. Behaviorism theories is physical approach that focus on observing and analyzing individuals' behavior while disregarding their internal mental states, such as feeling, interest, intelligence, and talents. And then the next is social learning theory. The social learning theory posits that individuals learn through observing the behavior of others in a social text social context, and then this involves the process of observing, imitating, and assimilating the behaviors of others, and then especially if the observed behavior is followed by positive reinforcement or praise. And then the next is information processing theory. This theory describes the process of acquiring knowledge through observation, thinking, imagination, memory, judgment, problem solving, and selective attention. And then the next theory is cognitive theory. This theory explains how humans think, learn, and remember the information, and it is relevant to the implementing features in the ELSA Speak application, which use various learning techniques, repetition, feedbacks, and English pronunciation exercises to help users learn and obtain information. And then the last one is affective theory. Affective theory is an emotional factor that influence learning theory. That influence learning. This theory also supports the effectiveness of the ELSA Speak application. It refers to the emotional aspect, feelings, and moods of individuals. And all over the supporting theories is combined in one this application, namely ELSA Speak application. Of course, it will make this application to be more effective for the students for improving their pronunciation skill. And then the next one is method. So here there are 4 methods that I use for my non-research article. First is look for some previous research that discuss the ELSA Speaks application. So I found several previous research, and then I collect the data whether this research is mentioned that ELSA Speak effective or not. And then the next is conducted joint interview with 15 high school students regarding the ELSA Speak application. Then the next step, I asked the student to use this application to fill or to experience this application, and then the students will give the opinion about this application regarding the advantages and then disadvantages and their experience in using the application. And then the next one is, the last one is conclude the result of the interview and compare them with the result of previous research. And then for the next is finding. So I actually there are many benefit of this what is it, ELSA speak application, but here I will explain three benefits as my findings. First is pronunciation skill. So because of this application, what is it, supported by those theories, and there are many technique, there are many features that put in this application. So this application is very effective to increase students' pronunciation skill, and it has proved by several data of previous research, and also supported by my the data of my interview. And then the next, this application also will encourage the self-confidence of the students in order they can to be brave and then to be more confident in using English. And then the last one is learning motivation. This application also will give some motivation, and also will increase the motivation of the students to to always increase their speaking skill, especially for their pronunciation. And then for the discussion, this paper discussed the theoretical and practical importance of research in improving the teaching and learning process, with a focus on supporting education system 4.0 and 5.0. This emphasizes the importance of student-centered independent learning with teacher support. In addition, it explores the features and advantages of the ELSA Speak application to improve English speaking skill, especially in pronunciation. Also touches on students' perspective regarding the technology-based learning, especially the ELSA Speak application. And then the discussion highlight the various features of the application, its advanced and some advantages such as presence of paid content. And here, if we are talking about advantages and disadvantages, of course, there are many advantages and disadvantages of this application. First, let me talk about advantages of this application. First, wait. This application can provide feedback regarding the accuracy of users' pronunciation, and then students can choose a learning topic from several interesting topics that have been provided there, and then the various and the various topic and lesson provided are tailored to different levels of proficiency, and then includes a variety of speaking and listening opportunities. And then there is also an EA conversation feature that they can help the students to have a dialogue with the AI, and then users can practice by repeating and imitating what AI has said. And then there is also a feature that can help users to record the user's voice after listening to the pronunciation of the target sounds. And then this application also observe and compare student performance before and after using the ELSA Speak application. And then the application also determines the accuracy of the recording and provide feedback to the users on correct and incorrect pronunciation. And then the last one, this application also is simple and easy for users to navigate. But if we are talking about these advantages, of course, this application also have several advantages. First, is this application can trigger smartphone dependency if the user is not wise in using this application. And then the next is student need to have a smartphone to download and to install this application. It means if the students or if the user do not have any smartphone, of course they can download or they cannot download or install this application. And then the next is there are several topics and application features that cannot be accessed for free because they are limited to paid user. So to all the available topics and features, users have to pay a certain amount of money to get paid user access. And then the last, this application requires an internet connection to run it. So if the user want to use this application, they have to have a good signal or a good access of internet. And then there are also some limited accents. This application also only focus on English pronunciation with certain accent. So users with different accents may be unable to take full advantages of this application. And that's about our discussion. And then for the next is conclusion. The ELSA Speak application effectively improves students' English pronunciation skill. The application provides features such as voice-based tests and immediate feedback on pronunciation, and then which students found helpful for practicing English speaking skill, especially pronunciation. The application applies effective theory to increase self-confidence by incorporating game features like points, level, and leaderboards to make learning more interesting and fun. Positive feedback and learning statistics are also provided to motivate users and help them track their progress, leading to increased confidence in learning English. Besides, the application has attractive features and design and availability of game features, positive feedback, and progress tracking makes the learning process much more interesting and motivating for users. And here the references, and thank you so much for listening. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sophie, for the great presentation. And the next presenter is Lizi Nurul Isnaeni. Please welcome Lizi.
Okay. First and foremost, thank you for the moderator. Thank you for the moderator for giving me the opportunity to discussing my research. And I'm so honored to be invited to be the one of finalists in today's seminar. And I will discuss about the exploration of AI or artificial intelligence for lesson planning support on ELSA. So first, here is a brief introduction to artificial intelligence. As you can see that AI is a technology that enables computers and machines to stimulate human intelligence and problem-solving cases. And also in terms of ELT, it can customize learning, and then our personalized tutoring or material, and then AI can do AI can do the digital grading that help us make the education process easier than before. And then this is the background of problem why this study is need to be done. So the utilization of AI in EFL has seen a significant increase in recent years by some researchers. And it also has several benefits and potential that could revolutionize the way English is taught and learned, not only in EFL actually, but in all contexts. And I think by knowing how many benefits and potential, and besides that they can help us as educators, we also can integrate AI to know more about what our students is like. For example, there is a research by someone who by Lee in 2023. He said that by AI we can do a data-driven insights from the students, so we can analyze their strengths and then weaknesses, and this is what we need actually in lesson planning making, because we need to analyze their needs. And then this is the key objectives or the purpose of these objectives. Since we know how important it is to learn about AI, so I think we need to have a more in-depth research about this. First, by this research, I think I will I will identify the potential and the impact of AI, and then evaluate the effectiveness of bunch of AI, and then develop practical AI recommendations that I will talk further later on. And this is previous research done. Actually, there are so many research, but I just got two. But first by Moch. He has utilized a questionnaire to explore different AI methods for applicability in English instruction and learning. And then another one is investigated teachers' perception of using AI in EFL class. And then the question is, how is the result from the research? So they share similar result. AI can boost effective English teaching and also the interaction with smart translation, communicative language education approaches, and voice communications. And also it can enhance the teacher's pedagogical competences. And this is in line with our theme today. And then the students' motivation to learn English more. We're moving on to the discussion. We have 2 points that we will discuss. First is benefit, impact, and challenge of AI. And then the second is the example of AI that you can use based on my research. So for the benefit itself, AI serve many benefits. First is, yeah, as you can see, it can provide us with personalized feedback and then adaptive learning. So if we talk about EFL, which means they learn English as a foreign language, it means they acquiring a second language. And this is important because AI can be a tool not only for education, but also for the students to improving their language acquisition by effectively enhance their language in EFL courses. And then it can increase the engagement, motivation, and teaching efficiency, because there is a lot of study that showed AI could boost their motivation. And then most instructors has positive views on AI because AI can indicate that learning is successfully can raise the students' interest and engagement. And then also, what is the challenge of AI? Now we are facing the lack of cultural awareness, and then internet connectivity, and then content to meet the needs of all students, because AI sometimes can respond correctly. And then, yeah, of course, the cost of purchasing AI, because some AI is not free. We need to subscribe with a huge amount of money. And then AI itself has a big impact despite all these challenges. For the example, AI can contribute to the efficacy of quality and education in EFL classroom. And how about the teacher's experience? Well, as I mentioned earlier, they have a positive attitude toward AI, but the most significant things that an actual teacher's experience is that they have a better equipment to integrate AI, so they will be prepare the lesson more interesting and will not dealing with any technical problems. And then for AI recommendation, I conclude 5. First is ChatGPT for AI assistant for lesson learning. So we can create an initial drafts or lesson plans based on information or starting point from ChatGPT. We can ask some things about the content and then just ask for some suggestion about the students. Besides ChatGPT, we can also use Microsoft Copilot, Google Bard, or now it became Gemini, and then Perplexity, and then Cloud. The second one is AI image generators. We know that in every lesson plan, in every lesson materials, a picture or a video is more likely to be loved by students because it caught a lot of attentions, and we can use a big image creator and create custom image by generating some draft. And then the next AI is for interactive slides. We can use Curbot and Canva. There is a lot of features that we can use. And then for this topic discussion, we can use a website called Edu8. It is something that offer us with different range of discussion prompts and question to engage in class learning and class discussion. And for the last is the differentiated interaction. And there is a website called Default that provides various topics for our resources. And I will show you how to use Default, but just in brief. So we can adapt any accessing materials that are available on the internet, and then we just need to generate just right resources for any topic, and then the website DFIT will choose reading level and language, and then it will generate tons of resources based on the content that we provide, because they have a library and many templates. So as a teacher, it will minimize our time, not to waste our time, and we can continue our work. And I think that's all from me. I hope that this research will inspire you to do the same and also improve it, or exploring another AI tools that actually can help us as educators. Once again, I'm saying thank you to all the participants and for all the attention. I'll give it back to moderator.
All right, thank you, Lizi, for the great presentation. And the next presenter is Rika Novia. Please welcome Rika.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Sophie, please share screen. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rika Novia, student number 222-321-0006 from class 6A. I'd like to give the presentation of my research with the title of Grammatical Errors in Writing English Essays by Students at Universitas Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa. Next slide. Writing is one of the skills that foreign language learners, including English, must master. Or writing as a habit for a student, because every week or almost every week they get the assignment of writing. So it can be called that writing is a habit for students. Even though the writing as a habit for students, they still make errors in grammar because they lack to knowledge of grammar, or they don't know the rules, the structure rules of sentences, and etc. And to overcome the problem of the errors, the Grammarly as a solution. Next slide, please. Okay, there are three supporting theories that related to my research, and then these three theories can influence the occurrence of grammatical errors in writing English essays, because these theories discuss the development of a second or foreign language, identification of the types of errors made by language learner, and comparisons between mother tongue and target language. First is interlanguage theory. Interlanguage theory was first discovered by Selenker in 1962. He defined that interlanguage comes from the words inter and language as a developing and changing continuum of systematic knowledge and language use that is independent of the mother tongue and target language. Or another way to say that interlanguage theory is the rules between the language that has been mastered or mother tongue and is being foreign language learners uh, or and is being learned or target language. Both second and foreign learners are in the process of learning the target language. And then the second is error analysis theory. It is proposed by Pete Corder, and Pete Corder proposed error analysis theory in the 1960th century, defining that learner errors are significant because they can show how the process of learning a language, acquiring a language, and the procedures as well as the strategies used by learners both a second language and a foreign language in learning a language. Or analysis theory is the type study of analyze the errors in language learning by students and or they by students that was produced as a second language or foreign language. The error that made by students, it can be seen how far the learner has learned the language. And then the third is contrastive analysis theory. This is founded by Robert Ledoux in 1967. He studied that if the elements of the language they are learning are similar to their mother tongue or language learners, it will be easy for them. But if they are different, it will be difficult of them. Or contrastive analysis theory is a comparative analysis of two languages to identify the target language that differs from the first language or mother tongue. So by doing contrastive analysis, it can be seen what difficulties and conveniences for language learners experience in learning the language. Next slide. And then this is methods that use for my research. First is research design. I use the qualitative research and sampling techniques for the population. I get the population of English students at Universitas Ageng Tirtayasa, and then the sample is 60 semester students majoring in English education at Universitas Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa, and sampling technique is non-random sampling, while in selecting the sample, namely the judgment sampling technique. And then research data is primary data, while research instruments collect data by means of observation and interviews. Or I get the data directly from the observation and interviews. Next slide. And then here are the findings of my observations in English essay writing by students at Universitas Tirtayasa. First is important comma punctuation. First is I got the error in word of general, and the second is word that, and then the third is the error of placement of comma, and then incorrect subject verb combination, the error in the word where, and then ambiguous pronouns, the word can be found in who, and then inaccurate subject, the error word or the error grammar found in the word that, and then the second it's environment, and then the verb error found in the word or the sentence I dreamed, and then the second is inspire, and then the third is brings, and then the fourth is practicing. Next slide. And inappropriate word combination found in comma and the word in, and comma in word I, and inappropriate preposition in the word to, and then the second found in about, and then inappropriate conjunction, the first found in the word but, and then the second found in the word and then the next is inappropriate object, the first found in travel, and then the second found in leader. Next. Yeah, okay, this is the correction based on the Grammarly. And then the first is important comma punctuation. Before, in general, it is there is not comma, and this is put the comma, and then besides that also there is a comma, and the face adversity, before there is a comma, but now the comma is changing or not using comma, because this is have but after adversity, and if we use but, we should not use comma. And then the second is an inappropriate subject, the before that just that, and then now the that, and then the second is its environment before, and then now is the environment, and then inappropriate subject verb combination, first is aware, and then now is such as, and then ambiguous pronouns, first is just, first is a good leader is who, and then now is add by one, so a good leader is one who. Next slide, please. And verb error, the first is just I dreamed about airplane, and now it can changing by I have dreamed about airplane. And then second is ideas clearly and inspires. Before is error in inspire, because before is not used as verb as in inspires, and now add verb as in inspires, in subject inspires, sorry, in verb inspires. And then the third is where the leader bring. The before is brings, but now is bringing, and they also have high inserity, comma practicing consistent. And then the next is inappropriate word combinations, or it can be called like the error of semicolon, if I'm not mistaken. And then the next is inappropriate preposition. Before it is can help you to see the word, and then the two now is there is not two from this word, from this sentence. And then the second is from that, the credibility that and then inappropriate conjunction, first is really thinking about it, I actually, and then of member is responsible, and then the last is inappropriate object, I have dream about airplane, before that airplane is travel, and then the now is changing be airplane, and then position is a leadership trait, that before is just leader, but now is leadership. Next slide. Okay, we come to the discussion. We can conclude from the result from the data above that grammatical errors that often occur can be found in the use of inappropriate comma punctuation, the use of wrong pronouns or the use of ambiguous pronouns, wrong subject verb combinations, and inappropriate word combinations, in correct placement of verbs, be it verb 1, verb 2, or verb es, and errors in these subjects. As a result of interviews with 6 semester English education students, they saw that grammatical errors still needed to be corrected in writing. They also consider grammatical errors to occur due to the writer's ignorance or lack of knowledge about grammatical rules or structures when making sentences, errors, and limited knowledge of grammatical rules. Therefore, grammatical errors are very important to overcome because the clarity and quality of the writing will make readers feel confused about the meaning of what is conveyed in the writing or what information is containing in the writing. Next slide. Okay, for the conclusion, writing is one of the four skills that must be mastered by English language learners. Writing essays is one of the most difficult aspects for students. Among other aspects, the SEFL learners have difficulties in conveying their opinions in writing because they lack competence in thinking. Apart from that, they also have to pay attention to grammar in their writing. However, the writing that is often encoded contains many grammatical errors. Grammatical errors occur due to students' lack of knowledge regarding grammar rules, sentence structure, and lack of knowledge about learners. Grammar errors are a significant problem that must be overcome because grammar errors make the writing unclear, the word used be standardized. Grammar errors can be handled by checking the writing on the Grammarly application or a platform of Grammarly, so that later the writing can detect what errors are there and finally make the writing more interesting. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rika, for the great presentation. And the next speaker or the next presenter is Muhammad Thamrin Yahya. Please welcome Thamrin.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Sophie, can you share screen? Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Moch Thamrin Yahya, student number 222-321-0073 from 6A. And I want to deliver my topic about efforts to improve students' English proficiency in Indonesia. Next slide, please. Okay, well, the first one is introduction. With increasing of international projects and also the rise of cross-cultural communication and collaboration, English becoming the ascendant language in the world, and people from various continents, people are needed to be able to speak English nowadays. The higher a society ability to speak English, the higher its level of welfare. Countries with higher levels of English proficiency tend to have higher average incomes, better quality of life, and investment in research and development. The more prosperous the people, the more advanced it will be, because this has a direct impact on the economic cycle of a country. So it can be said that English has an impact on developing a country. Moreover, English is now one of the requirements of entering a job vacancy. In the context of workplace communication, having good communication skills is the way to success, and that the good communication skills are seen as fundamental and additional advantage. So it's not surprising that several countries have started or even made English as a subject that every student must study. This had an impact on the country's English proficiency index. Indonesia is somewhat behind other countries such as Malaysia, Singapore, or Philippines, where English is taught from an elementary school age and is currently utilized in conjunction with national language. Despite being the local content topic in Indonesian school, English doesn't appear to have had a major influence on learning results. As evidence of English proficiency, there is a survey from EF. In 2023, the Netherlands will occupy first place as the country with the English language proficiency in the world with an EFEPI score of 607. Indonesia's neighboring country, namely Singapore, is in the second place behind the Netherlands. Then what about Indonesia itself? Indonesia was recorded as occupying 79th position out of 113 countries, according to a survey conducted by EF. Indonesia had a score of 473. Next slide, please. The next one is supporting theories. The first one is language. Language is a tool that enables people to cooperate to achieve goals and update information. It also provides opportunities for exchanging experience and solving problems in limitless proposition. Language serves as a multifaceted tool, not only for communication, but also for shaping our thoughts, perceptions, and cultural identities. The second one is English language teaching in Indonesia and its dynamics. The importance of English as a world language has made people to learn English as early as possible. The development of education, especially in English teaching, has grown significantly nowadays. There is no doubt about the role of English in global life because English has become a global language in every country and is usually called a lingua franca. The development of individuals' cognitive abilities, language competency, and communication skills is significantly influenced by their English education. Being the universal language, English acts as a link between speakers of different languages. English is a subject taught in many nations, but it is also an essential skill for getting information, succeeding in the workforce, and interacting with the world community. The next one, English proficiency. In today's globalized society, English serves as a lingua franca, facilitating communication and cooperation across borders and diverse cultural contexts. As such, individuals with strong English skills often enjoy enhanced career prospects and greater mobility in the global job market, as many multinational corporations and international organizations conduct business in English. English language proficiency opens doors to global prospects in business, academics, and cross-cultural exchange. English fluency is frequently a requirement for many positions as organizations grow more worldwide, making English education crucial for career advancement. English is also the primary language used in scholarly publications and research, making it an essential resource for accessing and adding to the corpus of knowledge worldwide. And the English proficiency, there are two skills that I want to highlight, such as listening skills and speaking skills. Next slide, please. The next one is methods. The research method uses a qualitative approach. Qualitative approach is a systematic subjective approach used to describe life experience and give them meaning. Using an instrument and open research questionnaire, in an open research questionnaire, respondents are free to answer the questions in the questionnaire. When answering questions, respondents are not limited by the alternative answers in the research questionnaire. The research used 12 people outside the English department as participants to enrich the perspective of English learning in school. Next slide, please. Next one is findings. Here are some questions for the participant. The first question is, in your opinion, what are the problems with teaching English at school? Most of the participants stated that there was a lack of innovation in learning and monotone teaching techniques, so that learning was boring, which resulted in a decrease in students' interest in learning. The second one, what do you think makes people not want to learn English? There are several assumptions, such as because it is not an everyday language, so it does not need to be studied intensively. Some people are also reluctant to learn because of the complexity of learning the components of English, such as vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. And there is also no interest in studying because while at school, students seem to only fulfill institutional demands, which are not based on the interest. The third one is, in your opinion, when learning to speak English, which is more important between theory and practice and why? Most of participants agree that practice is more important than theory. Someone stated that theory provides the basic of grammar and understanding needed to communicate correctly, while practice is the application in everyday life. The fourth one is, in your opinion, what makes someone not confident in speaking English? Most participants argue that the main cause in the lack of support from the surrounding environment, negative sentiments such as sok Inggris, which are attached to English learners, making them not confident in speaking English. Apart from that, there is a stigma that when speaking, you have to use correct grammar. English learners are hesitant to speak because they are afraid that their grammar will be wrong and they will be reprimanded as if it was a big mistake. And the last one, or the fifth, in your opinion, is speaking learning using a grammar approach, especially in elementary school, effective? Some participants agreed and some participants disagreed. The participants who are assume that learning grammar is important but don't make grammar a must when speaking, especially for elementary school children, because elementary school children should be taught to enrich their vocabulary first and be taught to be confident and dare to speak regardless of the messy grammar, then slowly improve the grammar. And for those who disagree, think that grammar will only restrain students when speaking because students will be afraid of speaking wrong. Next slide, please. The next one is discussion. In the discussion, I will divide it into two sections. The first section is factors. Several factors cause the English to be less studied, such as, first one is curriculum system. One of the reasons why many Indonesians still do not how and grasp basic English skills is because that there are no defined standards, approaches, methodologies, or appropriate media and resources for handling English as a local content topic. Consequently, in order to raise the standard of English as a foreign language in Indonesia for higher education levels, we still need to review and update the curriculum given its significance in the modern world. English education in Indonesia must continue. Yet education is really where it is most frequently discovered. The next one is grammar-focused speaking lessons. Learning grammar is important, but if grammar is still used as an obligation when learning speaking, especially in primary education, it doesn't feel right, because grammar will only restrain students from speaking English, especially if this approach is applied in primary education, because the approach only makes students passive because the sentences are taught separately. Listening and speaking skills are not important part of many course books or curricula, and teachers do not seem to pay attention to these skills while designing their lessons. Next one is lack of desire to learn English. One of the biggest EFL teachers' classroom challenges nowadays is EFL learners' lack of motivation and low interest towards learning English language as foreign language. This problem is the effect of the previous problem. Poor motivation due to lack of interest and superficial learning among students are two problems that educators face today. Boredom or feeling of lack of interest in school is recognized by parents and teachers as being common among students, although it is usually assumed that good students usually have high learning and motivation, so do not have the problem of feeling bored, especially those who work harder and study better. Next one is lack of support from the surrounding environment. Ridicule or blasphemy such as sok Inggris makes some people not confident to learn English. The problem of English shaming is often found among Indonesian society. The importance of English in the curriculum must be understood by the Indonesian people. This is not a sign of colonialism or winning of nationalistic sentiment. Rather, English inclusion in the curriculum serves to advance the country's educational system by fostering an understanding of the advancement in science, technology, the economy, and other fields. And the last one is learning that focus too much on theory. Learning a new language actually needs more practice than theory, because with practice, the percentage of students' understanding will be higher than with theory. Theory provides up to 10 until 20% understanding of learning, while practice can provide up to 80% of understanding. In speaking skills, practice has a very important role because practice has a functional influence. And the next section is solutions. Next slide, please. If you look at several of the problem factors above, it can be said that one of the basic things that needs to be considered is learning approach. Therefore, the author assumed that approach that's suitable to be implemented to improve English language skills for students, especially elementary school students. This approach is the communicative approach. Communicative approach is a modern and effective method that places a strong emphasis on communication and real life interaction as the primary goal of language learning. Communication-based approach which can have an impact on increasing students' interest and motivation as well as emphasizing fluency and spontaneous conversation. This approach can help reach students' language development and provide a strong foundation for further English language learning at highest level. To ensure that students have no trouble receiving English instruction when they move on to the next school level, the government can solve the problem by increasing the amount of English taught in elementary school or making it a required subject in this curriculum. There is no intention or goal in the Indonesian curriculum to lessen our sense of nationalism or attitude while also preparing our human resources for the day when the country will have access to internationally competitive human resources. Next slide, please. And finally, we come to the conclusion. Acquiring proficiency in English is strongly encouraged and advised, particularly in this globalized day. Since English plays a significant role in life and education in Indonesia, the position of English in the learning curriculum in Indonesia is important because in addition to responding to global challenges, English is an international language that must be mastered and studied by the Indonesian people, especially in our educational world, as well as access to digital technology like now do not escape the use of English. It can be concluded that the low level of English proficiency in Indonesia stems from the absence of interest and need to learn English, which is caused by a teaching and learning system that is less effective in its application, especially in elementary schools, such as the application of the grammar approach and also the lack of practical activities. In addition, a less supportive environment and bad sentiments make a person not confident to speak English. English language proficiency and communication skills are recognized as critical competencies in this era of globalization, particularly for students for higher education levels. Indonesia must review, assess, and give more careful consideration to the curricula in order to raise the bar for English as a foreign language instruction, because most textbooks and modules are written and taught in English. Being able to read, write, listen, and speak the language better can facilitate cooperation and research, as well as help students grasp the material better. As a result, we may cooperate or even compete with other nations and avoid failing behind. English inclusion in Indonesia curriculum is therefore a tangible step in our educational process toward developing students into exceptional, internationally competitive human resources, of course, provided they possess a through command of the English language. Therefore, there should be an evaluation from schools and education policymakers, in this case, the Minister of Education, to optimize the English learning approach that prioritizes implementation and affection to improve students' understanding, especially at the elementary school level, because the elementary school period is a crucial period in students' learning journey. I think that's all that I can deliver. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if there are any mistake. I'll give it back to moderator. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Thamrin, for the great presentation. And now we are moved to the Q&A session. If anyone want to ask a fellow presenter, please raise your hand and ask the question clearly. Please. There is no question.
No one.
All right. If there are no questions, let's close this seminar by saying lafaz hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. So I would like to thank the presenters once again for presenting the results of their research or their study. As the moderator, I apologize if there were any mistakes during the presentation. Hopefully, this seminar can increase our knowledge. Thank you for the attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam